Gunhild Haugnes, who is our colleague from the faculty. She's a journalist and a communication officer. Advisor.
Yeah.
She has a background as an engineer, I learned. And also she's written a novel called The Daughters of Norway.
Yeah.
Yes. So please welcome Gunhild. She will be talking about the press release.
Okay, thank you. Yes, hello. My name is Gunhild. And I'm going to talk about the press release that all of you will have to deliver with your thesis. But first of all, I want to talk a bit about my big passion in life. And that is, I happen to love storytelling. I believe the world can't get enough of good stories. And I know among you people sitting in this room, there is a lot of stories. You have a lot of stories. But unfortunately, many of those are very well hidden. And that is the stories of your science. So, okay. So today I hope to contribute to that the science stories of yours will come out to the public, to these people. That is grannies and aunts, neighborhood boys, nephews, daily life people, party people, taxi drivers, nurses, engineers, consultants, plumbers, everyone. Those are the people that is building our society. That is the people that are paying or have been paying or will be paying tax. They're the people that pay the salary for most of the people in this room. And they invest in your education, in your science. And they have done it for years. So now there is payback time. The need to know that the investment was good and will be good in the future. And to let them know that, how do we do it? Yes, of course, we tell stories. We tell stories about our science. Have any of you got this question? Many times? Have you asked the question yourself? Yeah, we get it all the time. I got it yesterday at the dentist the last time, and I was sitting in a chair, and he stood beside with a drill in his hand and his eyes on the picture of my teeth. And when he looked at that, he said, "Yeah, what is it actually you're doing?" Yeah, I promote the fabulous science at University of Oslo. I said, "Really? So interesting." Yeah, it was a good response. That's a response I really like to have. But he still put the drill in my mouth. But anyway. I have another story when I got this question. That was not so good story. It's back in early 90s. I've just started as a journalist at Computer World. An important and interesting job, I thought. I was very excited about it until I met this guy. This is Bengt Haugnes. He was educated. He ran a big farm through war and hard times, supporting up to 20 people. He was a mayor for many years, and he was also my dear grandpa. So I visited him at his farm near the fjord of Trondheim. We sat in his living room, having a nice chat, and then the question came, what is your work? What do you do for a living? And I said, well, I'm a journalist. Okay, and but what do you write about? Computers. And they looked at me and, computers? What is that? I remember, this is early 90. The PC was in its childhood, and it was not very common around in the homes. It was very early, and my grandpa was in his 80s, and he had never seen a computer. So I don't remember what I answered to that question, but he stopped me very soon and said, "I don't understand." That was not a good situation, because he felt stupid, and I felt bad because he felt stupid. He deserved to know what I was doing. I have had a lot of chances to tell him what a computer was, because through his lifetime, there was a lot of technological revolutions. He was the one that brought electricity to the farm, like milk machines, washing machines, and all that stuff. He was one of the first in this community to buy a car and a tractor. He had a typewriter, a calculator, phone. He knew what technology was. So I had a lot of opportunity to tell him what a computer was, that it was some next step there. But I didn't, and I'm still ashamed of it. So please, advice to you, don't do the same mistake. Have a story ready for your grannies or anyone else you meet, because you never know. You never know when you meet, when you get this question. It can be a schoolmate in the elevator. It can be someone at a party. It can be your niece at a Christmas party. Anywhere, and it comes quick, and then you need to have some stories. Yes, but we were going to talk about the press release. So what has these stories to do with the press release? Because the stories of what you do is what you're going to tell in your press release. And you are going to tell it to your grandma, or your mother, or your niece, or your neighbor. Because the press release is not an abstract of the thesis. It's not to impress your supervisor or your colleagues. It's a short popular story of your science spread through the media, and it is for ordinary people. So we can go to the structure of how a press release looks like. First, you have this big title at the top. It should be very short and inspiring. And the ingress, 1 or 2 lines, also short and inspiring and tells you the key point. Then you have half a page of text that explains the story in a simple way. A quote or 2 from yourself, because you're the one that have done this science. And if you have photos and graphics, deliver that too. And at the end, it should be some contact data, because the goal is that someone should read this, a journalist, and that he or she thinks, oh, this is interesting, I want to talk more to this scientist. And then it should be easy to contact you. And of course, you must answer when you be contacted. So the most important thing is the start of the article. You showed that earlier, so that was very funny. I like that one. I used it just to show where people actually read an article, where they start. You see the red arrows there? It's the title, Null hull med nanoteknologi, and it's the ingress. Here it's up, usually it's under the title, but. And they also, if you have a picture, an image, they look at that, and the text below, and the subtitles. That's what the people look first on. The problem is that scientists tend to start the article with a long, boring introduction about what the problem is and who participated and all that stuff. And maybe, if you're lucky, at the end, about the blue arrow there, then you might find something rocky, but the problem is the readers never get there, because if you don't get them at the start, you never get them. So you should be like a shark with your text. You should have a big bite in your reader and hold him or her for the rest of the story. Because it's in the start, everything. And the start should be a conclusion or a good metaphor that explains the story. And then simplify, use examples, and finish the story with a tail swing. A good point at the ending. Yeah. So why do I talk about that? Because I've read a lot of these press releases that PhD candidates before you have delivered here. And yeah, I'm going to show some of them, and it's not to hang out anyone here, because most of them are more or less like this. So let's go. First one here, the title, ER UVB Transmitter for Ranging Application and ER UVB MIMO Radar-Based Imaging Array. Good, eh? This work investigates the design of an impulse radio ultra-wideband ER-UVB transmitter used in the ranging transceiver based on the time of flight measurement, etc. How many of you understand this perfectly and are dying to read the rest of it? You are? Hey! That's great. So what's the problem with this? Yeah, it's a lot of words that most people don't understand. It's long sentences. It's very, very heavy. It's totally ununderstandable for most people. Let's have another one. Characterization of a novel mouse model lacking the lysosomal membrane protein GLMP. Lysosomes are cellular organelles responsible for degradation and recycling of macromolecules. This process is dependent on the correct function and regulation of a myriad of proteins. Do you think your mother would understand this? No, probably not. But maybe. This one I read to the end, and in the last sentences there was something about that this science can lead to new treatment to a liver disease. So then you're talking. It's that you should put in the end. It might be new medicine out of this. So one more. I read the ingress first. With this doctoral work, Jo Skeie Hermansen has shed important light on the origin of species, a fundamental problem in biology once deemed no less than the mystery of the mysteries. Hermansen and his colleagues have demonstrated that the world's most widespread bird species, the ubiquitous house sparrow, is at the center of a poorly understood but potentially vital generator of biological diversity, hybrid speciation. Better? Mm-hmm. And house sparrow is gråspurv in Norwegian. This story has been widely spread in medias in Norway and internationally. So why is that? Well, it's well written. It's the name of the scientist that's in the text. It's about something we know. It's about a nice little bird. And the bird is an essential of a big, big mystery, the origin of the species. It's quite fascinating, isn't it? It's not strange that the media took this. On the top is just a few words on the title there, because the title above is the title of the dissertation title. And all the press releases uses that in the press, the dissertation title. But you should create your own, because the dissertation title is usually hopeless. In this case, I just suggested a new one in blue there. So what we can learn from you, Shay Hermansen, is that we need to have something to tell. You could have used the Latin name of this bird, but he used a common word. And you must find something that people can relate to in your science. I know it's not so easy when you might think it's easy when it comes to birds, and maybe if you have made an app on ski jumping. But let's say you're working on dark matter or something like that, fundamental science. Then you shouldn't say that you work on some electrons and you're watching the collisions at the Large Hadron Collider in CERN or something. You should say that you're actually trying to solve the mystery of the universe, because dark matter is a big mystery of the universe. Because the mystery card is very strong. People love mysteries. That is why they read a lot of crime novels. So science is mystery solving. So use that. Lift the head up from the PC and see the bigger picture. Okay. I know a lot of people have talked about what's make a story good, so I just go quickly through this. It's we have the same message. It must be surprising, or you have to have some identification with it. Something people relate to. It must be important for a society, useful, a conflict, actuality maybe, and hopefully give a wow effect. So some of these key points should be in the story. And also Eivind and a lot of others have talked about it. I know that all of you love your science, hopefully. I hope you love your science and your research. And use that when you write. Write with passion, because that spills over to the reader or the listener. If it's so you can, in your head, try to find 10 reasons for loving particle physics or anything else that you research on. Try to create scenes and pictures in the reader's mind that they use cases from the daily life. Dare to get loose, and don't be afraid to be corny. Some more writing tip on the way. Try to find some flow or rhythm in your text. Vary the sentence length, minimum clauses. Short, direct, personal. Use verbs, preferably present. This is more active. Use example, funny things. Read the text aloud to yourself, because then you can hear where the problems are, where it's not working. Deliver full package, photo, text, video, if you have subheadings. Get some feedback from non-academic people. Ask your mother or your neighbor or something, or text experiment. And don't use technical terms if you don't have to. And if you have to, you must explain them. How to spread them? This has also been very much a subject here. You can send them widely to a lot of newspapers, or you can send them exclusively to one. In most cases, I think there's number 2, but the media world is changing all the time, so I'm not sure what I would recommend. We can give advice on that one. The last one is a bit funny one. I hope you never have to use the last one, because that's when you have done something bad, like you have cheating on science or something. So then you should send a press release Friday night, the night before Christmas, when there is no journalist at work. Do not pinpoint the news in the header. Clouded language. Yeah. Hopefully you don't have to use that. So you've heard this before too, but let's it can't be told enough. Why communicate? Okay, grandma gets proud. It's better if she is with her friends and they ask, yeah, what is your grandson doing right now? Well, he's doing some difficult things at the university. I don't know exactly. How much fun isn't it for her to say, you know, my grandson is solving the mystery of the universe, or she is creating a new vaccine for cancer. How much fun isn't it for her to tell that to her friends? Taxpayer deserves to get something back, new knowledge to the society. Authorities expect you to communicate. It will be good reputation for University of Oslo with all of you going around and spread good news about your science, both when you talk to people and also when you write press releases and other stories. The society debates get smarter if you join. And it's also good for you, because it's easier to get a job if you can show that you can communicate what you're doing and you can cooperate and all that. It's easier to get money for new projects. Like we had the minister here earlier, even if he's the boss of all knowledge in Norway, he don't know everything. And he don't know what you are up to. And if you can inspire him so he can change the politics, so that it will get more money for the science, it's good for everyone here. You can get new partners, more students, and it's fun. And now we get back to Marianne Hjort once more. I got this email from her just after she had this article in Aftenposten. Marianne Hjort is a professor at the School of Pharmacy. And I tried to translate this, and she said in the email, "It was a super article. I have received lots of positive feedback after it was published. I also see that it has many positive effects going forward to the public. Several scientists have contacted me because they will cooperate with me, and more students have also said that they want to be a master student with me, and we have really struggled with recruitment to my field. The moral is, stå på, maybe come on in English, I didn't translate that, it pays finally." So that's some of the things that can happen if you go public. So, what can we at the faculty do to help you with this? We can do text coaching, advice on media, help finding channels, make story visible on our sites, on our social media sites. And we're also planning launch of our own news site that's called Titan this autumn. And then we hope that all these PhD press releases can be published, if they're understandable, of course. So, I don't know, are there any questions? I don't.
This might be a stupid question because I come from the outside and I'm looking in, but your PhDs write their own press releases.
Yeah.
And they send them out, or do they send them out through you, or how does that work?
Yeah, they send it, well, I get them on email, but they send it together with the thesis when they deliver the thesis for controlling, or what you call it. Yeah.
So how much time do you have per PhD project to gussy up or pimp or refine a press release? How much time do you personally have? or your department?
Yeah, usually I don't do anything about them at the moment.
Exactly. So it's up to the people writing.
Yeah, now it is. But we hope when we get a better channel for new stories through this Titan, we hope to push them through there and make more out of them.
Thank you.
Mm.
Just a comment, a suggestion. This press release is of extremely low quality at our university, and we should definitely run it through a standard publishing review process where the author is given a second chance of or given a chance of improving a poor manuscript. So that's a concrete suggestion for improvement on our part.
I have a very silly question. Because to me it sounded a little bit like you were also talking about writing like for the newspaper, popularized article. What is this press release? Where does it go? You say when it goes. Where does it go? What is this for? Seriously.
Yeah, no. Yeah, okay.
When the University of Oslo, the University of Bergen, the University of Trondheim sends out the press release, it gets sent to every major newspaper's fellesmappe. This is the communal pile of press releases. And unless it stands out, it gets buried.
So if I really care about getting my research out to everyone there, because people out there, they don't read press releases, because you talked about like this is getting your stuff out to the people out there, but I've never read a press release of people out there don't read press releases. So if I really want to get my research out to people, and if I want to write for Aftenposten, I should spend more time on writing a popularized thing for Aftenposten directly and send it to you instead of spending a lot of time. I mean, I'm just critical now, but...
Yeah. Okay, it's different ways to do it. I think about the press release as a teaser. You can say something, a teaser that you use to sell your story. Yeah, so, but in some cases, if it's not a big news in it, it might be just a short note and then it's okay with a press release. But if you have a very big story, that's just a teaser for the story. We should have done. We don't. Through this. But we don't do any active. We don't active sell it. Yeah.
I can answer the question.
We don't.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to. The point is we're trying to do something to make this process better. So we put out in this Titan channel from after the summer, hopefully.
Just one. I was just wondering, this press release, you actually have to write this and deliver it with your thesis?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because I just remember from writing my master thesis that my main focus was writing the thesis itself before delivering it. So I'm not sure how long you have before you deliver it, from sort of much time you have to write it. Because maybe one idea would be to give like a week or two extra, so you have a bit more time actually focusing on the press release.
Usually the students write the press release after they have delivered their thesis, before the defense. Okay. Yeah. So they have you have weeks. The press release is compulsory, so all of you have to do it. The situation now is, like Gunhild says, we have a few very good press releases, but we have a lot of very bad ones. I read everyone. And the reason is, 4 times a year, I stand up in the university hall on the creation ceremony, and I have to read everyone and write a very, very short description of what you do, and read that to the audience. And there are your mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and friends are listening. So I'm trying to find out what is in this. Hopefully, I'm a little bit more into what we are doing at the faculty than your grandmothers are, but I face many difficult press releases also. So, but that's not the main. I can read these, but the main idea now is to go into this system. It's compulsory, so we want you, with the help of us and others, to write as good press releases as possible, because there is a lot of good stuff out there that never reaches the press. A lot of good stuff, and I see it every time before the ceremony. That's a lot of good things that doesn't appear because you're using Latin words and difficult words that no one outside your research community understand. So we have started this process, and that's why Gunhild is talking about this press release, because it is more important than you believe. And of course, you have the time after you have delivered your thesis up to the defense. You have a couple of, or maybe a month, to do that job. And as we say, we can help out, as well as you, of course, you can talk to your supervisor. And it's important to do what you said. When you have professional help, you need to see, have you done the right corrections, so that you feel that this press release is something that you can stand for. So this is important.
But also for the papers or the journalists, what is the best source for you, actually, if it's not working by now? Is it Twitter rather than...
I made it sound like the press releases go into some black hole and are never looked at. That isn't true, because in addition to being sent out into these large communal piles of press releases, which you look at if you are on your way to a meeting with your department and you have no ideas, that's when you look at that pile. So very rarely. In addition to that, it also goes on UiO's website, where it's searchable, and you can. It still does, right? Yeah, of course. So it's available and it's searchable, and that's actually quite important, because when a journalist is researching something, and if they can find a name where your name attached to something that they're writing about, chances are they will contact you. So these press releases are sort of, if you don't do much science communication, if you don't do much with the media, then that's your presentation to the media. That's your landing page. That's how you hook them in and get them to see, okay, this person knows this thing. This is someone we can talk about about this. So, yeah.
But if it's never actually modified, if you don't have time to go through it again, if you don't have time to rewrite it, then it's a very different situation from what you're describing, hooking a journalist and saying, I have something that might be interesting, but I'm going to need your help to get this more accessible. I've cheated. I've already handed in my press release, and I have to say that the two of you working on it, please give this information to the faculties, because from the information that I got, I could not see that this had to be an unmodified thing ready to go directly into a newspaper. I thought I was writing to a journalist to make it understandable whether or not this could become a story.
Yeah, this is a very good comment, of course, and we need to also to be somewhat pragmatic. You, as PhD students, you have delivered your thesis, you are in a somewhat stressy situation, and going to defend your thesis as well, and you're also going to prepare a presentation. So we have to be pragmatic as well. But however, what we want here is to improve from today's situation, so that the guidelines that Gunhild gave is something you should keep in mind, and we at our best ability will try to help to improve these press releases. However, we receive more than, let's say, how many PhD students? Okay, but about 180 PhD students every year. And of course, the press won't print everything. So what we will try to do is to collect, to help as many as possible, and help everyone to get good press releases. I'm probably the only one that reads everyone in detail because I have to present it in the aula, in the university hall. And sometimes I have to ask the candidates themselves, what do you really mean here? Because I can't understand the text and so on.
But can I say something? I don't think it's too difficult to write it if you're getting used to answer questions like, what do you do for a living? If you're used to think in that, lift your head up, then it will be not too hard to write the press release, because then you have an idea on who the audience are and how it should be written.
I think that's the most important advice, that you should try to explain what are you doing to someone far outside your community. The grandmother.
Actually, a comment. Yesterday evening I was in an arrangement what you're talking about, as my colleague defended her thesis a month ago, and I think she wrote a nice press release, and it, even if I'm a colleague, but I still can say it was understandable to many people. But it wasn't exactly about her project. It was about our group's project. Yeah. You have to kind of put it to another level, and next year, it's my turn. I'm going to write about the same. It's not that personal. And this is the problem I don't know what to do. I want to tell about my project, but I kind of can't. It's more about what my department is doing. And sometimes I feel I can't talk or write in behalf of the whole department as my project.
Yeah,
you
but
see what I mean?
You can mention that it's you're working on a project like this, that mention that you're not alone in it, but in the press release you must lift it up anyway. So yeah, but you can also have you can also mention if in the press release other contact names, if that's better for you. If it's some supervisor or something in. Just if they want to get some more information around it, and
I see, but it's just about the level of details,
yes,
isn't it? Yeah. And because what you showed, the one example about lysosomes in rats, and I was like, yeah, it's perfectly fine. But then I say, no, it's not. And that's not why. I would love to write about lysosomes and things, you know, but as you showed, it doesn't work.
But. This is another good comment, because as I said, I read quite many of these, and this is sometimes we get good press releases like Jon Skeie Hermansen about the Grey Sparrow, and what he did actually, what he explained what he did, and he did put it in a group context as well. So it was very easy for me to grab the ideas and try to explain that in 3-4 sentences. And the idea behind the press release is, of course, that your project is going to be presented. However, sometimes you need to put it in a larger context because you are a part of a group. So you should do that as well in order to make me and others understand in what sort of context is your research being conducted. However, it's important to tell that what you actually did in your project as well. So you must not forget that. But you should also be pragmatic. Sometimes it's very detailed and very difficult to explain, and then it's easier to lift it to a somewhat higher level and say, let's say, why are we doing this? And a little bit what and why, not as much how, because that complicates things.
And if you want to write about liposomes, write to me about liposomes, and if you can make me understand what you're talking about, we'll print it, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I have just one more slide, because I know that many of you will think now that, as you also said, that I'm doing something very difficult. It's so hard to make it easy and understandable. I can't do it. So I'm not going to comment that. I leave that to another one. To this guy. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. That's Albert Einstein's best quote. So if he can, you can.
Okay, let's give Gunhild a hand. Thank you.